spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sports.
Hello, this is Joe Wilkerson back with another edition of Old School Boxing Talk. I know it's been a while because I just did a video, but sometimes I go like months without doing them. So I'm going to drop a couple real quick because who knows when I'm going to have time to do another one. This one here is going to be the rise of the LDBC new media and why the boxing media is full of shit. And, alright, we as boxing fans have got to stop letting these people lie to us and tell us what they want us to hear. You know, back in the old days, before the internet and all this information was out there, the boxing media, a lot of these boxing writers were in the pockets of different promoters. Don King had his boys, Bob Arum had his boys, and other promoters, Harold Westfield Smith, that is. You know, the top promoters had their own people in the boxing media that were there to uplift their guy and tear down everybody else's guy. You know, and they had their camps doing this crap. And the only way you found out anything was from these people who you trusted to tell you the truth. When all along, what we didn't know, or some did but some of us didn't, was that these cats are being paid off by them promoters. Now, with the advent of the internet and everything else, we already knew Dan Raphael's full of shit. That whoever got the biggest buffet, well, Dan Raphael will favor their fighter, and ESPN and their boxing coverage is so biased and full of shit that if you're a smart boxing fan, you won't even follow nothing ESPN. You just don't listen to Dan Raphael. Sometimes you get something right, but a lot of times Dan Raphael's so biased that it's not even funny. And a lot of these people in the boxing media are very biased. They all have their own promotional fighters. They have their own promotions that they're there to suck up to. And they have to do that job. But yet some of them walk like, okay, my man Montero on box, I like Mike, you know, but I think Mike sometimes loses his objectivity. He leaves his objectivity out there. Sometimes Mike will call shit right down the middle, but then there are times when Mike will slant strongly one way or another. You know, my biggest issue with Michael Montero has been a lot of times in the past his PBC bias. But I think he's coming around with that shit to realize, you know what, the PBC's a horse I need to jump on. You know, and I understand that he sees, you know, yeah, he works with his British boxing magazine, but he's also trying to get involved with Ring Magazine, trying to get on with these other clowns on ESPN, you know. And what I don't want to see happen to Montero is I don't want to become like Doug Fisher and the rest of these clowns that get paid off by Golden Boy or Top Rank, whatever, to put their fighters over and put other people that aren't with them down. Like I said, Montero, sometimes a little slant, but sometimes more so than a lot of these people, and definitely more so than Dan Raphael, Montero's a little bit more toward the middle. to work corner right down the line. He's not 100% there, but he's getting there. Now, if you want to hear the straight scoop on fighters, listen to the Smoke City Mobcast every Wednesday night at 9 o'clock on YouTube. Or listen to 7-8 Sports, Dante's Boxing Nation. There are a slew of other channels in the LDBC that it's not about being biased. Look, let me tell you something. These cats in the LDBC, we all want to see the best fight. I'm not in the LDBC, by the way, so let me clear that up right now. Everybody that wants to see, we want to see the best fight to fight. Best fight to the best. Also, my man, Black Fight Fan, I didn't mention him, but I didn't forget you, man, A lot of us true boxing fans want to see the best fighters fight the best fighters, period. We want to see who the best is. We want to see Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, which I know a lot of brothers in the LDBC and everybody else is leaning toward Wilder. To me, Wilder's still a little too wild. I still, at this moment, am still leaning toward Joshua. I think he's more of a polished product. But let me tell you one of the biggest discrepancies I hear that people say about Deontay Wilder. And they sit there and say, well, Anthony Joshua's doing all this with 21, 22 pro fights. And Deontay Wilder's got 40-some-odd fights. Okay, let me clear this up real quick. Anthony Joshua was the Olympic gold medalist. Had a long and extensive amateur boxing career. So Anthony Joshua's been doing this a lot longer than Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder had a short amateur career, which is why a lot of his fundamentals aren't there. Deontay Wilder is still a work in progress. Let's be honest, Deontay Wilder is still a work in progress. His boxing career came in boxing late. So he's still a work in progress. Deontay Wilder is pretty much on the level right now of an amateur boxer fighting international competition. He's just getting to that level. Where Anthony Joshua was an amateur, he fought from local to international, he's a gold medalist. Deontay Wilder just got in there, and because America's amateur boxing program is so weak, he was able to win himself a spot there. And of course, he won the bronze. He was awarded the bronze medal. But honest, in years gone by, Deontay Wilder's experience, he would have never been on the Olympic team. And that shows you how bad our Olympic team is. Not Deontay Wilder, but how bad our Olympic team is, especially the heavyweight division. So when you say Deontay Wilder has 40 pro fights and Anthony Joshua only has 21, yeah. But let's go back to our amateur career where you see Anthony Joshua's shitload more amateur fights. I think Deontay Wilder had maybe made 40, 45 amateur fights. He didn't have over 100. I know he had less than 100. And I could be wrong. If somebody actually knows how many he has, please put that in the comments section, or hit me up on my oldschoolboxingtalk@gmail.com. Hit me up and correct me. But I try to be as factual as I can be. And I'm not above reproach. I'm not above being corrected because I'm not 100% sure. What I'm saying is you can't compare the fact that Joshua's doing this in 21 pro bouts to the fact that Wilder's at 40-0 and doing it. Wilder is still learning. Joshua's a more polished product. He's been through the ring. He's been through the amateur system. And Deontay Wilder just got there. So Deontay Wilder's still learning. Mark Breland's still teaching him things. And I do see improvements, but I still see some things in Deontay Wilder that he needs to work on. And maybe Mark Breland, who one of the greatest American amateurs of all time, lost one time in the amateurs, won the gold medal. Maybe Mark, get there with Deontay. I think Deontay's getting better. Now, like I said, that was, that's enough Deontay Wilder. But my main thing is the boxing media and their bias. Now, I just listened to my man 7-8 Sports before I started cut this video. He would tell us about how the Nevada State Athletic Commission, who in my last video I told you after Mark Ratner left, I felt that the Nevada State Athletic Commission went downhill. And I still think it does. But they did two things right in this month. One, they suspended Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo Alvarez, of course, eventually, as everybody knows, just backed out of the fight because he knew he wasn't going to win this case. So he just backed out and just said, "Hey man, go fight somebody." And two, when Gennady Golovkin and Fable Sanchez try to pull a fast one on people, then if I say Golovkin, pick some junior middleweight kid that nobody even heard of, that was just barely ranked in the top 10 at 154, and say, well, we're going to give you a middleweight title shot, then Vasily Lekaman said, no, you got all these top middleweights. Demetrius Andre calling you out. Billy Joe Sanders, who has the last belt, saying, look, man, you ain't doing nothing in May, man. Wait, Push that shit back. Come on back here in June. We'll do this shit in June. We'll do for Undisputed. I can get rid of this guy I was supposed to fight. You have no opponent. That's a bigger fight. Let's push this shit back. But Golovkin and his team are no. They want Cinco de Mayo because they feel they have something to, because Fable Sanchez and his quote unquote Mexican style bullshit, they feel this is our chance to steal Cinco de Mayo from Canelo. Really? So what are you going to do now? The Nevada State Elected Commission already told you they're not going to approve this guy. The Nevada State Elected Commission judge said, look, you have too many quality middleweights that are willing to step in. Now we all know my man Jamel Charlo will step the hell in. Now he's got a fight coming up on this card with Broner. This fight on this card with Broner and whoever Broner's fighting, and Tank Davis on the same card. He's supposed to be on that. He's a co-main. You don't think that Jamel Charlo could say, you know what, man, shit, I could fight a couple weeks early. I'll take my title shot. I don't realize we need to beat this boy for his silver title. But Abel Sanchez, he ain't gonna go nowhere near Charlo. And I've told you people before, there are certain fighters that come along in a decade that, people like Golovkin are labeled a boogeyman, and they're really not. And then there are people like Jamel Charlo who really are the fucking boogeyman because you don't want no smoke with them. Abel Sanchez, Gennady Golovkin, Tom Loeffler has let us know repeatedly. And more Abel, we want no parts of Charlo. And to make sure we're not fighting Charlo, we've already reached over to Bob Arum, told about moving up to 168 down to Andre Ward is long gone. I mean, they wait till Andre Ward retired. Not that they moved up to light heavyweight, beat Kovalev's ass. They wait till Andre Ward retired to say, hey, I guess now we'll move up to 168. They made sure Andre Ward was totally out of the game before they made a move to 168. Why? Because if Andre Ward was still in the game, the thing's going to come up, well, hold on, when Andre Ward was at 168 and he was calling you, people, your defenders were saying, well, Andre Ward, the Golovkin's not really this. Then they kept crying, he's not really this, he's not really that. When him and his people put the narrative that we'll fight anybody from 154 to 175. Now remember, that was Abel Sanchez talking that because they wanted to get a fight with Floyd Mayweather. But then when they could have fought, when the Charlos were calling him out at 154, both the Charlo brothers were calling him out. Alastane Lara was calling Golovkin out. Wanted no smoke with them brothers. None whatsoever. Didn't even hear him. But he's the guy that Abel Sanchez said, oh, we'll fight him back from 154 to 175. So then when they got called out by both the Charlo brothers, by Alastane Lara, they didn't hear him. They didn't want to hear all that. They didn't want to hear that. Then they turned around when Andre Ward said, yeah, come on up here, little man. We can do this. Well, hold on. Wait. Well, why don't we make it at 164? Oh, really? Andre Ward is stretching it just come to 168 because Andre Ward was a light heavyweight in the amateurs. And I think it's 178 in the amateur. In amateur boxing, I think the weight class is 178 for light heavyweight. That's where Andre Ward won his gold medal. They're going to tell the man 168 was a stretch. They're going to say, oh, why wouldn't you drop 4 more pounds? But now, and Andre wasn't now dropping that, man. Come the fuck on up here and let's do this thing. And they had, and Golovkin and his defenders had all kind of excuses why we can't fight Andre Ward. And then they called Ward a weight bully. He said, no, why don't you go up and fight Kovalev? Andre Ward said, all right, I done did everything I need to do at 168. There ain't nobody at 168 for me to fight. Fine, I'll go fight Kovalev. Let me get tuned up there, get used to the weight class. So Andre Ward went up there, had a couple tune-ups, and went and put the beat down on Kovalev. And then people try to say, well, we don't think you really won that fight, Andre. Well, no, okay, we'll run it back again. And they beat Kovalev again. And they still try to say, and that the man and his career with the boxing media, still trying to say Andre Ward hit him low. Andre Ward this, Andre Ward. Boys, Andre Ward, I put a video up there that before the fight, I said the reason Andre Ward was going to win was Kovalev, when I did this, when Sugar Ray Leonard lost to Roberto Duran's first loss, Leonard had to overcome that loss mentally. Had to get Duran out of his head mentally, and Leonard did. And Leonard came back in the rematch, and you see what happened. Leonard Duran too. Leonard beat Duran easily in the rematch because Ray went back doing what he does best. And I said that the loss that Ward had, when Ward beat Kovalev, Ward not only beat him physically, but he beat him mentally. Mentally, Kovalev never got over that loss. And still to this day, Kovalev's not over that loss. And the second loss hurts Kovalev more mentally because he can't get past it. That's why he don't want to fight that boy Bivol. Because he fights that boy Bivol, Bivol going to knock Kovalev out. I like Kovalev, but Kovalev's not the same fighter he was before. When Andre Ward beat him, the aura of the Crusher was destroyed. Then with the second fight, really got destroyed. And all Kathy Do and HBO are trying to do is hold on to Kovalev, make as much money off of Kovalev as they can until they're ready to sacrifice him to Bivol. HBO's waiting for Bivol to become a name, and then they're going to sacrifice Kovalev to Bivol. Believe me. HBO going to sacrifice, they're going to serve him up. They're going to tell Kathy Do, we got to make, right now we don't want that. Kovalev, you excuse, I don't want to fight my countryman. Shut up, man, because if it was like that, then no fight, none of the great fights would ever get made. If American fighters said, well, I don't want to fight my countrymen, we'd never have Leonard Hagler, Leonard Hearns. We'd never have some of the great fights we had. Mexican versus Mexican, Puerto Rican versus Puerto Rican, British versus British. We'd never have some of the great fights we've had. But we have because people are willing to fight their countrymen because, hey, if your countryman's the best, let's see who the best is. Kovalev's using that as an excuse not to have no smoke with Bivol because he wants no smoke. Right now, Kovalev wants no smoke with anybody that can really fight. That's why if you look at the level of his opposition, you see what kind of people he's fighting, which are guys that he can just walk that have no real power or no real skill because Kovalev is still not confident himself. He doesn't have that confidence. Yeah, he talks a good game, but he knows inside the ring, he don't got the confidence because that's why he's fighting these lower tier fighters. And Kathy Duva, the people at HBO know the same thing. He can't fight nobody for real because he don't have it anymore. There was a time he had it, but Andre Ward took that from him. He can't do it anymore. Andre Ward destroyed Kovalev. Now, and you'll hear that if you listen to people that tell you the truth about boxing. If you listen to Dan Rafael and something, even Michael Montero and a lot of these boxing media, they're going to say, well, Andre Ward hit him low, and Andre Ward did this, and Andre Ward did... They're going to tell you all this other horse manure. But they ain't going to tell you the truth. Andre Ward broke Kovalev. Plain and simply, broke him. They don't want to give Andre Ward the credit for being the great fighter he was. They don't want to, a lot, and it seems like what I don't like is boxing to me is a sport of warriors. It's a sport of warriors. Two men walk into a ring with the chance that one of us, one of us is going to win, one of us is going to lose, or one of us, and at the best case scenario is one of us is going to win, one of us is going to lose. The worst case scenario is one of us ain't coming out of this shit alive. Train, you put your body in the line, you do all this work. And to have some guy like a Dan Rafael who's never stepped foot in a gym, he sees the word gym and unless there's a buffet in that gym, he's the fastest Dan Rafael runs is past a gym. There's no buffet. He's never stepped foot in the gym. He's never stepped foot in a ring because he can't roll his fat ass in there. Now I'm a big boy myself, but trust me, I've been in the ring. I don't like guys that like Rafael who have that position who never stepped in there. But then what I hate worse than Dan Rafael is Teddy Atlas. I used to respect the hell out of Teddy Atlas. I believe Teddy Atlas was one of the greatest. He was a sucky fighter. Let's be honest. Teddy Atlas was a sucky fighter. But he was a great trainer. And he was a good analyst. But Teddy Atlas, what happened to Teddy Atlas? Teddy Atlas sold his integrity. See, Teddy Atlas was a name he had that name, and his word was a seal of approval. So Teddy Atlas said you was a bad boy. People trusted Teddy Atlas, but Teddy Atlas sold that to the highest bidder. Now, Teddy Atlas out there shilling for Vasily Lomachenko. Now, let me tell you something. Vasily Lomachenko's a bad boy. I ain't gonna shit on Lomachenko. Lomachenko's a bad boy. But to tell me Lomachenko is the best fighter in the world today, not happening. Because the last time he fought somebody, a guy with 12 losses, Orlando Salido, whooped that ass. Now, it wasn't that bad, but Salido got him. Now, I felt too if there had been a 15-round fight, like we used to have when we championship actually meant something, I think Lomachenko might have stopped Salido in the 13th or 14th round if we'd been a 15-round fight. Because Lomachenko was coming on. I gave Lomachenko I gave him like rounds 10, 11, and 12 of that fight, but I felt Salido did so much more that I had the fight scored like 8 rounds to 4 for Salido. But I digress. But my thing with boxing is I want to see your resume. Who have you fought? Who have they fought? Have you fought someone of substance? And when I look at Vasily Lomachenko at the weight class he was in, the best name, he has good names on his record. Having Rigondeaux's name on your ledger, okay, that's a good scalp to have there. But Rigondeaux was 2 weight classes below you, come up, and Rigondeaux pretty much had checked it out by the time he got in there. Rigondeaux got 400,000. Now you want to get the hell out of here. And they had blackball people like Jim Lampley, that piece of garbage, and and Bob Arum, and once again your boy Dan Raphael had all but blackballed Guillermo Rigondeaux. The Rigondeaux couldn't get any fights. And, by this time, Rigondeaux was like, let me take this money and get out of here, because, man, they ain't going to let me have a career. So they do that a lot with a lot of the Cuban fighters, unless they're favorites, especially that piece of garbage, Jim Lampley. That's another guy that I wouldn't listen to. That's why I don't get HBO. The reason I don't get HBO anymore is because I used to get HBO, because I used to love, not for the shows, I've never watched an episode of Game of Thrones. I can give a rat's behind about Game of Thrones. I've never watched a single episode, nor do I have any intention to watch Game of Thrones. Now, it might be a great show, and maybe like a lot of shows I always said, oh, I don't like it, blah. I sit on Hulu, and I'll sit there and say, oh, shit, it's pretty good. And I'll be like, damn, why did I miss this when it was going on? It may be that kind of thing that after Game of Thrones is gone, they might have a marathon or some crap on Hulu, and I'll sit down and binge watch and be like, oh, snap, this is pretty good. Because I have nothing else on, there's no fights or nothing. So it might be a case of something like that. I don't know. But the reason I used to get HBO was for the World Championship Boxing. And what turned me off HBO was Jim Lampley. Jim Lampley turned me off of boxing on HBO. That is why I will not get HBO. When HBO has a fight, what I do is I wait for the Sky Sports. I wait till somebody streams it on YouTube. And I'll get that stream and I'll hear, I'll watch the fight. I won't watch anything with Jim Lampley and Max Kellerman commentating. Max Kellerman's another one. Max Kellerman's another guy who when Max Kellerman used to be at ESPN, but when ESPN was actually worth a damn, Max Kellerman was the bomb. I mean, yeah, Max Kellerman was big, high on Judah's nuts. High on Judah's nuts. But Max Kellerman was also got it, knew great fighters. And he recognized it. Then he got to HBO and Max Kellerman just became like Jim Lampley light. Like he sold his integrity, and that's what's a shame in the boxing media, that once you rise the ranks of boxing, the boxing fans say, this guy knows what he's talking about, and we as boxing fans support you, and all of a sudden, you just sell out your integrity. You stop calling it the way it is. You start calling it the way they want you to. Now ESPN has a deal with Top Rank, so now Teddy Atlas and then Max, you got it. When Max is on ESPN, you got to put over Top Rank fighters. Okay, fine. Okay, and the best fighter Top Rank has, you don't never see him on First Take, and that's Terrence Crawford. Which gives me another reason, with the recent talk of Keith Thurman talking about signing with Top Rank. I mean, honestly, I like Keith Thurman. But the thing with Spence kind of gave me pause for the cause. But when I hear rumors of Keith Thurman talking about signing with Top Rank or ESPN, they want those fighters. Let's be honest. Top Rank was Earl Spence Jr. Top Rank was a lot of those ESPN a lot of those fighters from the PBC. They want them because they have nothing. Top Rank's cupboard is bare. And they know right now Crawford going up into welterweight. They have nobody for Crawford to fight at 147. Nobody. Now Bob Arum he's not doing ESPN because he wants to. He's doing ESPN because he has to. He has to do ESPN because I guess he burnt his bridge with HBO. Al Heyman's in the PBC pretty much got Showtime locked down. Showtime's in the PBC business. They ain't a lot of business with them cats. The network CBS is also a PBS type of deal because CBS comes along with Showtime. So that's all PBC territory. Now you got NBC. I don't know how serious NBC is about getting into boxing. You got Fox. Fox is also in the PBC business because the only fights fighting on Fox is Deontay with PBC. So Fox pretty much in the PBC business. ABC is pretty much not into boxing and much sports at all. really, ABC's are shifting Monday Night Football to ESPN. ABC's really not trying to do a whole bunch of sports in the afternoon. You know, Wide World of Sports used to be the greatest show ever. You know, but Disney bought ABC, and Disney trying to take ABC and just put, you know, shows and stuff on there. Okay, do we get our college football? Yeah, we're gonna keep our college football, but outside of college football, you don't get much sports on ABC. ABC has pretty much pushed all its sports to ESPN, which is a shame. But like I said, once again, that's an avenue Bob Arum needs to really check and say, hey, whoa. If I'm going to make this big car, why don't we put this on ABC? See, back in the day, ABC before Disney bought it. ABC used to have boxing on, a big boxing event. I remember the event where Mike Weaver won the title was a 2-night event, 2 nights of boxing from 3 different locations. You started on a Friday night because Friday night, they started Friday night. Matter of fact, that Friday night, if I'm not mistaken, now if I'm mistaken, somebody call me, correct me. But I believe that Friday night they started in Vegas, and then Marvin Hagler got robbed against Vitor Antuofermo when he fought for the middleweight title. And there was another title fight on that Friday night. The Saturday night you had a triple header because you had Eddie Mustafa Muhammad defending the light heavyweight title. Sugar Ray Leonard defended his welterweight title. I think it was against Davey Boy Green from Maryland, and then also Big John Tate, and Mike Weaver, and that's the night that Tate, Tate knocked out. Weaver knocked out Tate, and I believe the following night Larry Holmes defended the heavyweight title from back in Vegas. Larry Holmes defended the heavyweight title, and I could have that mixed up. Maybe it was Friday night for one, Saturday. I don't know, but the point is, ABC was heavily invested in boxing. They had bait, and those cards did great numbers. Now Disney bought it. Disney wants to do whatever. I don't know what Disney's about. You know, I really don't understand Disney. But here's my thing. Even with the PBC, there are certain fights that they go to CBS and say, yo, you know, we're going to throw this on your CBS. Say, yeah, we'll do this one. We'll do this one. You know what I'm saying? Like Keith Thurman's fight with Sean Porter and his fight with Danny Garcia, that was on CBS. And they did great numbers. They did like 5 points something. Earl Spence, last time he fought on TV was after the Olympics for NBC, he did 6.0. Deontay Wilder constantly does 1.5 and up for Fox when he fights on Fox. Hell, they just did a card with Victor Ortiz and damn, I forgot his name. The boy's damn. Devin Alexander, and that did 1 million buys on Fox. So you gonna tell me boxing does not do well on TV? It does do well if you have the right people. Bob Arum, here's the deal. Bob Arum is slipping because Bob Arum could easily be like, okay, we got to deal with ESPN, but ESPN's also got to deal with CBS. It's part of ABC. Yo, we want to make this thing here. You know, if I'm going to bring Manny Pacquiao, this is where Bob Arum messed up. He doesn't understand that the pay-per-view model as it was is now dead. People are not willing to pay those pay-per-view dollars, man, because sometimes we don't get the cards. Look, I talked about this in other videos. There was a time when Don King was at the height of his powers. And Don King would put together a pay-per-view card. And I mean a pay-per-view card that you paid, you know, when Tyson was at his prime, when Tyson was at his peak, you paid $40 for that, and you got 4 world title fights. You got Tyson defending his title against whoever, but you also had Don King, had Julian Jackson defending his title. You have somebody in the world. John King would load those cards up. So was that worth your money? You're damn right it was. Now today, here pay-per-view, you got now that pay-per-view, you got the main event guy gets all this money, and then you got a BS undercard. Sometimes the best fights on a pay-per-view are the undercard fights. And that's the problem that boxing promoters today have forgotten, that you have to load the undercard. It's like going to most restaurants. When you go to a restaurant, they offer you an appetizer before your main course. What's happening with boxing is, and these promoters is, they just want to give you the main course. and they sprinkle the undercard is like some garnish sprinkled around the main course, but everything's about the main course. Well, you're like, hold on a minute. I'm going for this dining experience, and all I'm getting is this, and you don't come back. I mean, maybe you do, maybe you don't, but okay, maybe you get some casuals, but you bring pay-per-view is pretty much for the casuals, not for the hardcore. Pay-per-view is pretty much for the casuals, and that's mostly, when the guys that pay for the pay-per-view are the casuals that just learn a little something about boxing, want to impress their friends. They say, oh yeah, we got to fight, and they have no boxing knowledge, they talk shit, it's like, I hate casuals. But back in the day, for boxing fans, you want us to pay all that money, give me the experience of what I'd be seeing if I was in the arena, if I was there live. See, when pay-per-view was first, one of the first kind of pay-per-view in closed circuit was, these venues were usually so far you couldn't get to them, or they were sold out. So how can we make some more money off this fight? Closed circuit TV. Pay-per-view, then when closed circuit, people say, okay, we got to go to the movie theater to see it. They say, hey, pay-per-view, you got to leave your home. Whoa, that's even better. But in the early days of pay-per-view, guys like Don King made it worth your money. If you were going to spend $40 for this pay-per-view, you got a full, you got your money's worth and then some. And that's why I will never knock now. Now, I'll never knock Don King pay-per-view, because Don King has never given me a bad pay-per-view. Bob Arum has, Golden Boy has, but Don King has never ever given me a bad pay-per-view. Every pay-per-view fight I've ever gotten of Don King's I still have, has been top notch from top to bottom. I've gotten 4 quality title fights. They will not mismatch. They were top guy versus top guy. And and I would give Don King credit for that. That when he did pay-per-view, he did the way it was supposed to be done. He gave you the experience. If Don King, like I said, Don King was still around today, it was still relevant in boxing today, Don King would be the guy that could, honestly, Don King would be the guy that could really make money on pay-per-view, because you would know what you're getting. Don King would announce that whole card. You sit there and say, oh shit, I got this. Look, if Don King had the stable at the PBC today, man, Don King would be killing it. I mean, just think about this. If Don King was the promoter for the PBC, and he was still doing what he did, Don King would have, okay, if Don King was running shit, this is the kind of pay-per-view card we would have, that we probably would have had for Mayweather-Pacquiao. We would have had Mayweather-Pacquiao's main event. Under Mayweather-Pacquiao, we would have probably had another good fight. We might have had Golovkin on that card fighting somebody worth, if he was with Don King. Every top fighter Don King had was going to fight another top fighter. And we would have had great matchups, top to bottom. And you told me the PBC guys, okay, let's just say, okay, I don't know who the PBC had it. Oh, let's take like lightweight. Robert Easter Jr. He was going to fight some top rank. He might have fought maybe a Mikey Garcia fight that time. I don't know, but the point of the matter is, if Don King was fighting, it was promoting today. Let's take with Anthony Joshua. Let's take the current PBC. Okay. Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, our main event. You asked me to pay $100 for this thing. Okay. You got Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua main event. Okay, fine. Who's on the undercard? Let me see. We're gonna have if Golovkin's too afraid to fight him, why don't we get Billy Joe Sanders against Jamel Charlo? Ooh, shit, there you go. There's another good fight. Then we're gonna move down to welterweight. Said, hey, Keith, Keith. We ain't gonna do it now, but Keith, you're going to fight somebody. Okay, we said Keith Thurman, you're gonna fight Danny Garcia again. Sean Porter, you're gonna fight my man Earl Spence Jr. So, oh shit. Or maybe you don't want to see that. Maybe Don said, people seeing Keith and Danny. Why don't we shake it up? And Don would have found somebody. Hey, Don would have the type of captain would have said, hold on a minute, let me see who can I get. But the point of the matter is, Don King would have got the best fighters, put them on that pay-per-view. So you sat down and paid your money for that $100. Guess you set your $100 down that pay-per-view. Guess what you got? You'd have got over $200 worth of fight. And Don King was willing. See, the thing about Don King was he was willing to take his top fighters, put them in with other top fighters. Yeah, Don paid them, but Don robbed them anyways. But the point, you could take those guys, pay those guys, because you know what? You're going to make your money off that pay-per-view, because guess what happened? The fans going to hear that card, they're going to be, oh shit, I'm buying that. I mean, can you imagine, as a boxing fan today, not to boxing fans, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua fighting, okay? On the undercard, you have Jamal Charlo versus Billy. You have Charlo versus Billy Joe Sanders for the WBO middleweight title. Underneath that, maybe you have the other Charlo brother taking on the winner of Hurd and Laura. For those 3 belts. Okay, that's 3 quality fights there. But don't stop there. Because underneath that, you're going to either have Earl Spence or Keith Thurman defending their title. Either you might have Earl Spence fighting Terrence Crawford. Maybe not. But you have Earl Spence fighting somebody quality. You have Earl Spence fighting Danny Garcia. Because that's how Don King rolled. Don didn't roll with this crap. Don said, Don would look at him and say, look, okay, you already fought him. Or Don might reach across the aisle to Bob and say, look, give me Crawford, man. Let me make this Crawford, let me make this Crawford Thurman fight real quick. And I'm gonna add a 5th fight. I'm still gonna put Danny Garcia against Earl Spence Jr. on this card. So we're gonna build this shit up. Now you turn around, you're gonna buy that pay-per-view. They gonna make money, you gonna make money, and you're gonna save that shit, and it's gonna be collector's edition, because now what Don King has done is he's giving you all these great fights, but he's also set up his next pay-per-view. Because now, okay, Deontay Wilder, okay, whoever wins Wilder, Joshua, okay, that's good, okay. But I don't really need y'all, y'all wrestle, but I don't need y'all for the next good pay-per-view, because the next big pay-per-view is already set. Now I got Golovkin saying, look, Golovkin, you want that 4th belt, the fans want undisputed. My man Charlo now has the belt. Why don't we come do this? You go on main event. Okay, Golovkin's like, okay, we go, I'm sure Fable Sanchez is coming kicking and screaming, but, Golovkin's like, okay, let's do undisputed. So now Charlo versus Golovkin. Underneath that, now the WBO title, if his brother wins, the other beats Hurd or Laura, he's got 3. The other boy got Saddam Ali, I think it is. He's got the other belt. Hey, bring him on. Put him in there. Okay, now you got the other unification fight. You've also set up other fights, because you still don't want the winner of like Thurman versus Crawford, you still got them on there. Now you're going to have the winner of Thurman Crawford. They're going to be defending their title. And Earl Spence Jr., should he beat Danny Garcia, he's going to be defending his title. So now you got 4 fights there. And knowing Don, if he had somebody at lightweight, like, he had somebody like Robert Easter Jr., he probably, or if you don't use Robert Easter Jr., let's say Mikey Garcia's at 140. Don going to sit down and say, Mikey, let's get one of these other champions, pull them in there and put Mikey on that card. Understanding that, this is the understanding that you're here now, but the process is as we move along to make these fights. Because the next big fight, after Charlo and Golovkin, okay, the next big fight is going to be Thurman. If Thurman wins, if the winner of Thurman's Crawford versus Spence. So that's the next main event. And guess what? The Charlo brother at 154, guess what? Undisputed, we're going to give you your first defense, you the co-main, and we're going to just move everybody up. Why are we moving everybody up? Because as we move you up, as you fight on this card, guess what? Now you headline the next big show. We building stars, because we're giving you out there, putting you on a bigger stage. So when all these casuals buy you, guess what? These casuals now know the name of Jamal Charlo. They know the Charlos. These casuals now know the name of Earl Spence Jr. These casuals know Keith Thurman. These casuals know who you are. So when you come back and put these guys in main events at the next pay-per-view, you might not ask 100, but you might be asking like $70, $60, $70. Guess what? These guys, oh, I seen him fight before. Yeah. Oh, I seen him fight, blah, blah, blah. Oh, hell, yeah. And guess what? They fight. They buy the pay-per-view. It's worth it. But also, while DK's also doing, he's also got these kids on TV fighting. So that's what I'm saying. If DK was still in his business, boy, you couldn't touch that man. But unfortunately, we don't have DK now. We got to deal with these BS promoters we have now who don't know how to put together a pay-per-view card, which is why pay-per-view is dying. Pay-per-view's not dying because people don't want to pay for it. Pay-per-view's dying because it's like everything else. It's like it's like going to a restaurant. You go to your favorite restaurant, maybe go to McDonald's, you get and for X amount of dollars, you get a Big Mac and fries and blah, a drink and a pie. You get all this good stuff. Now you go there. Now you can go there. Now they took away that, or they had a favorite meal deal. And then they took away something out of the meal deal, and that's what's happening with the pay-per-view. When you used to go there and get a whole night of worth of boxing, now you get a bunch of prospects, and you get a bunch of prospects and your journeymen and that aren't making any money. You get maybe one other good fight, which is a co-main, and then you get a main event. And then, but you're still asked to pay more for this than you would have 10 years ago from when you got more. And fans are like, look, man, it was, and fans like me that have been boxing fans I've been a boxing fan all my life. That looked at it, grown up with boxing. I remember, and I still mourn for the days when we had 15-round championship fights. That was when 13, 14, and 15, boy, woo, we had some rumbles. But I digress. The rise of new media and the LDBC is here to help guys like me, which they do help guys like me, because I'm able to go on here on my camera, on my laptop. I'm ready to put this thing on Facebook. I'm ready to put this thing on YouTube. I'm ready to put my voice and my opinions about boxing. Now, you got like a guy like Fanon International. Fanon covers both in and out, in and a business end. And that's what he is. He does that business thing. You got the brothers do that. Look, my thing is, I don't care what you're making, man. I don't want to get involved with your money, man. That's your money. I'm not counting your money. All I want you to do is put your ass in the ring as the next best guy. So when I pluck down my money, that I get my money's worth. That's all I care about. I care about the history of the sport. I go back in this sport a long way. My induction into boxing, my grandfather, Leslie Mortimer Scott, came from Panama. Had two favorite fighters, Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Robinson. I'm sorry, three. Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Robinson, and Roberto Duran. His holy trinity. My grandfather would tell me stories about listening to Joe Louis fight on the radio. My grandfather would tell me stories about being in New York and watching Sugar Ray Robinson fight. My grandfather would tell me stories about being at Madison Square Garden and watching Roberto Duran fight. And one of the first live fights I ever went to was seeing Roberto Duran live at Madison Square Garden with my grandfather. One of my earliest memories of boxing, which helped my love affair with boxing. And it's something that me and my grandfather had in common. My grandfather also liked baseball. I hate baseball. Can't do it. But boxing was our bond. Boxing was the one thing. And the one thing my grandfather always encouraged me was, if you like something, you're passionate about something, learn everything you can about it. So I would study everything I could find out about boxing, the history, the records, the this, the that, everything that I could. Gather all the knowledge I could about boxing. Gather old footage, when I could get old footage of fights, and everything I could, so that I can speak about boxing. I never act like I know all of it. I don't act like I know everything, but I know enough. And I appreciate the sport. I appreciate the artistry of the sport. And I see what's going on with the sport now. There are great fights to be made. Do they have to build up a little bit? Absolutely. Like, okay, we're talking about Thurman versus Spence. Fight's not ready yet. Now, we don't want to fuck around like they did with what the hell was it? It was Juan Ma Lopez and Yuriokis Gamboa. When those two boys were circling each other at 130, and they were talking about having a fight at 126, I'm sorry, featherweight. They talking about, yeah, we got it. And Bob Arum said, we got to let that fight marinate. Well, what happened is Bob let it marinate a little too long, and then Juan Ma got knocked out by Salido. So they want the Gamboa fight because when they both undefeated, they both at the top of their game. Everybody want to fight, but Bob said, let's let it marinate a little bit longer. Let's let it marinate a little bit longer. Well, Bob, you let it marinate too long, and it marinated to the point where, guess what? Wama got knocked the hell out. And then, there was no then the fight when then Gamboa moved up, whatever. But after Wama got knocked out, the fight was dead. Nobody wanted to see it. Nobody really cared about it. It wasn't the same. With Thurman and Spence, there's still that wild card of Crawford. There's still that wild card of Crawford. So the problem with that fight is, one, it needs to be built up a little more, and two, somebody has got to take care of the Crawford problem. Because this was a good fight when it was no Terrence Crawford. Now you got Terrence Crawford in the mix. So now what's going to have to happen? Do people want to see Spence and Thurman? Yeah, but people also want to see one of these cats against Crawford. Let's see how Crawford looks against if Crawford looks the way we think he's going to look against that kid Horn. We're going to say, hey, we want to see Crawford. We want to see Crawford in that mix. So now you got three men in there. So now you got to figure out who is one of them going to fight Crawford first and then come back and fight the other guy. And what happens, how we're going to do that. In my opinion, how I would do that, since Keith Thurman, once he gets healthy, since Keith Thurman is holding 2 belts, I would honestly have Spence fight Crawford for those 2 belts. And then the winner of that would be, and let Thurman get his shit together. And then the winner of Spence and Crawford would then fight Thurman. Even the loser could turn around and fight Thurman after, because, even the loser that could turn around and fight Thurman, because he'd probably be the top contender for the undisputed welterweight title. So you get at least 2, maybe 3 fights out of that whole series there. In my opinion. That's how, but I don't want to see these fights marinate too long, because in boxing, anything can happen. I remember back when Donald Kerr was undisputed welterweight champion. And next thing we know, I remember hearing on ESPN and, night that Donald Kerr got knocked off by Lloyd Hunnigan. I'm like, who the hell is Lloyd Hunnigan? Nobody knew who Lloyd Hunnigan was. But he was a guy that went in there and beat Donald Kerr and won the undisputed welterweight title. So things like that happen. I don't want to see it happen. I just want to see the best fight the best. I want to see these guys make the fights. PBC has the best fighters. It's time to start matching these guys up against each other. Mikey Garcia seems to have decide that he's not going to go back to 135. He's going to stay at 140. And then he's going to move from 140. He's going to defend his belt at 140. Then he's going to move to he wants to move to 147 to fight Spence. I would pump the brakes on that Spence fight. See, this is my problem with all these guys today. There are too many belt hoppers, man. Manny Pacquiao's a belt hopper. And Mikey Garcia seems to be the same goddamn way, a belt hopper. Lomachenko's a belt hopper. These guys just jump from division to division, win a belt, and then move up. What happened to being undisputed? I'm waiting for a lightweight to come along. Roberto Duran has a record for the most title defense at lightweight 11. I'm waiting. The next guy I think that closest was Shane Mosley at 8. I'm waiting for somebody to come along, be undisputed, and go after Duran's record. I'm waiting for somebody to do that. I want to see history. But here's the problem with boxing and history today. One, these fighters don't stick around long to make history. That's number one. Number two, a lot of the records in boxing we can't see challenged because of the damn rules of the WBA, WBC, IBF, and WBO. Because like Henry Armstrong's record of being champion in 3 weight classes will never be equaled, will never be duplicated or surpassed, because with the WBO says, oh, well, if you hold a belt in this weight class, you can't hold a belt in another weight class. So they automatically let you know you can't even be a double champion. So they're already stopping you from history. The rest of these cats, you can't do this. They make rules that will prevent fighters, especially fighters in the lower weight classes, from making history. Henry Armstrong's record, that would be a hell of a record. I would love to see somebody go after Henry Armstrong's record. Would love it. I would love to see I don't care who it is. I'd love to see Lomachenko become an undisputed lightweight champion. All right, jump up and challenge the undisputed junior welterweight champion. Win that, okay? Jump up and say, hey, I want to try for that welterweight title and be allowed to. Or maybe Lomachenko says, you know what, I'm going to go back down to 130 real quick. Gather up all those belts at 130. Go back to 135, grab those belts up. Go to 140 and tie Henry Armstrong. You know, say, hey, let's try to tie Henry Armstrong and get a third weight title in a third weight class. Be a champion in all three, and then say, hey, okay, I got these three belts. Then defend them. Then say, hey, I got these. I want to jump up to welterweight. I want to see if I can beat Keith Thurman, Earl Spence, or whoever the undisputed welterweight champion is. Terrence Crawford, one of them three guys going to be it. I want to see if I can beat them guys. I want to see if I can hold 4 titles in 4 weight classes. I want to see, we don't allow these fighters to dare to be special. That's when we hurt these guys. You don't think, I would love to see Lomachenko. I don't see any of these guys attempt to dare to be special. But the politics of boxing, these stupid-ass governing bodies prevent that. They prevent that, man. That's why, like a record like Henry Armstrong, we're never going to see it broken. There's so many records in boxing we're never going to see broken. Title defense records we're never going to see broken. Sandy Saddler's record for the most title defense in featherweight at 14, not going to be broken. Bob Foster's record for most title defense light heavyweight at 14, not going to be broken. Because guys don't stick around. They don't. I mean, look, okay, as far as I'm concerned, now Golovkin, see, this is another bastardization of boxing. My thing is this. When Duran made his record, Duran was undisputed. When Sandy Saddler made his record, he was undisputed. Bob Foster made his, he was undisputed. I'm tired of like a guy like Golovkin talking about, I got 20 defenses. No, 20 defenses. Well, how many, why do they shouldn't count this count as a belt record. Tito Trinidad has 19 defenses of the IBF welterweight title. But the record for the undisputed, I believe, is 14. Nobody talks about that. Why? Because we have, in certain divisions, we have respect for what undisputed means. We need to have that for all of boxing. If you're going to go after one of the records, like Bob Foster's record 14, you got to be undisputed. Duran's 11, you got to be undisputed. Monzone's 16 should not count for Hopkins because you got to be undisputed. Not holding a belt and then saying we're going to count those toward toward that. No. Marvin Hagler's 12. Marvin Hagler was undisputed. Golovkin's 20-some defenses of what? You're not undisputed. Those defenses should count for those belts, should not count for toward being the most title defensive division until you are undisputed. Without a doubt, no other man in the division called himself champion. In my opinion. I don't consider Hopkins the record holder at middleweight because he wasn't undisputed. I still get that to Monzon. Hagler's number 2. Because Hopkins won a belt, and defended it a bunch of times. And you're going to tell me because you had a belt, but there was three, 4 other men in your division claiming they'd be the world champion. When Monzon said his record, he was undisputed. When Hagler said his, he was undisputed. When Duran said he was undisputed, there was nobody else at lightweight, nobody else at middleweight. When these men set those records, Sadler, Foster, when these men set those records, they were undisputed. The record for the undisputed welterweight division title, I believe, is 14. Undisputed, gentlemen. So I don't care how many times. Like I said, Tito Trinidad defended the IBF title 19 times. Hey, I'm proud of you, Tito. You kept a belt. You kept a belt and you defended 19 times. God bless you. But you're not undisputed. You're not. The record is. I'm not going to give you the record. I'm not going to, because the records were set by men when there was one champion per division. Now, okay, it's a little harder. So now you got to grind a little more. But once you grind, I want to see you become undisputed. I want to see you defend it. Undisputed. Now go after those records. Now, unify every door to get all the belts, be the only champion in that weight class. Now go after that damn record. Now, come on. Come go after the record. Come on. I'm with you. I want to see history. And that's the problem we have with boxing. It's going to be a while before we see history. All we're going to see from history is a watered-down, bastardized version of it. Unfortunately, fans, that's what we're getting. A watered-down, bastardized version of it. And the boxing media, who I've railed against in here, are going to tell you it's legitimate. But let me tell you, fans, when it was set, there was one champion. It was a time in this business, there was one champion per division. We have one world. We don't have 2, 3, 4 worlds. We have one world. So how can 2, 3, 4 men in the same weight class claim to be world champion? Yeah, I understand that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, this, it's like, okay, let's just say in the NFL right now, as much as I hate it, the Philadelphia Eagles are the world champion. That's it. That's them. In baseball, whoever won the World Series last year is the world champion. In basketball, whoever won the NBA champion is champion. Every sport but boxing has one world champion. And it's time for us as boxing fans, to tell the boxing media and to tell these promoters and to tell these governing bodies, we're tired of the bullshit. We want one champion per division. One. And then we need to do a new thing. I did a video on this before, and I'll probably do a refresher video of how we can go back to our original 8 weight classes and how we can adjust those weight classes for today's fighters for today's fighters. But this has already gone longer than I wanted it to go. So till next time, this is Dope Wilkes signing out. Good night.